Welcome back to Pokemon Episode Summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 240. Nice price, baby. The episode begins with Ash and the gang still at the Pokemon Center from the end of last episode, where Ash had just healed up all of his Pokemon to make sure that they were in tip-top shape for his upcoming gym battle against Price, which he was very excited for. Misty and Brock then inquired Ash on what his strategy was going to be for the battle, leading Ash to obviously reveal that he was going to be using Cyndaquil, since Cyndaquil was a fire type who was strong against Price's ice types. However, Misty reminded Ash that not only were Price's Piloswine and Dugong extremely well trained, but Dugong was also part water type, and Piloswine was also part ground type, therefore making Cyndaquil also weak to them. Ash claimed that he already thought of this and had a perfect strategy to counter, leading Misty to inquire what this strategy was. In turn, leading Ash to admit that he was a lying bitch. He actually didn't think of a plan whatsoever. Though he tried to still lie about this to some extent, explaining that he had thought of a little plan, he just hadn't worked out the details yet. Yeah, I'm sure. At the end of the day, Ash at least realized that he was in for a very tough battle and knew not to be overconfident. He still believes that Cyndaquil would be enough though, so he decides to head over to the gym, leaving the Pokemon Center. Speaking of the gym, Price and Sheila were currently there, as Sheila watches Price groom his Piloswine, very happy to have his old friend back, and wanting to help its Piloswine get its fur back on track after it had been frozen for so long. Sheila remarked how she was surprised to see Price so close to one of his Pokemon again, leading Price to respond that much like how Piloswine was frozen for many years but had been unthawed, his passion for taking care of his Pokemon and being close with them had also unthawed after many years. Since now that he knew Piloswine always wanted to be his friend, he had no reason to decline. He also admits that he'd been grooming his Piloswine all night, making Sheila happy that Price was finally back to how he used to be before he had grown super cold. Yay! Sheila was about to go tend to some of the other Pokemon in Price's Ice Park area of his gym facility. Just then, Ash, Brock, and Misty eagerly stepped into the gym, and Ash claimed that he was ready for the gym battle that Price promised, asking if Price was ready as well, with Price confirming. Also reminding Ash that if Ash won, he would get his 7th badge, the Glacier Badge. Meanwhile, Team Rocket were spying on Ash and the gang through some bushes in Price's artificial ice park that led to the gym stadium, and they saw that Price was the gym leader. James was surprised by this, stating that he would have had his Weezing use better attacks if he knew that Price was that strong. Jesse states that James could get his chance if they go to get their revenge on Price now, so they decide to sneak into Price's gym and interrupt Ash and Price's gym battle so that they could have their revenge on Price. Right before they do, though, Wobbuffet, of course, forcibly pops out of its Pokeball. However, as they come out from behind the bushes, intending to follow Ash and the gang, Price and Sheila, into the actual gym, Meowth spots all of the ice Pokemon that were in the artificial ice park, including several Shelder, a Lapras, some Seal and Dugong, and they decide that they should instead focus their efforts on stealing all of these ice Pokemon while Price and Ash were busy, so that they could sell them for money, which they desperately needed to pay off their loan for Delibird. Meanwhile, Ash and the gang, Price and Sheila, then arrived at the actual gym, and Ash was surprised to see that the stadium was made entirely out of glistening ice. Well, almost entirely made out of ice, because there was a huge central pool in the middle. Ash thought that he could jump on all of the little ice sculptures and use that to his advantage, but Brock claimed that the key to winning the match would probably be the central pool, since it was the only area of the stadium that had different terrain, so both trainers should try to use it to their advantage. With the stadium now introduced, it was time for the battle to begin, so Ash and Price both took their spots on the respective ends of the battlefield, and Ash immediately went out to send his Cyndaquil, but before he could, Brock called out, telling Ash to stop, explaining that there was no referee for the battle yet, and suggesting that he should be the referee. However, Sheila then laughed, telling Brock that was not necessary, as she stepped into the middle of the stadium, ready to be the referee, explaining that she was one of the best referees around, an actual certified one, as she then pulled out 2 flags, red and green, one to dictate Ash, and one to dictate Price. She then clarified the rules for the battle, no time limit, and 2-on-2. That's right, it's not actually a 3-on-3 battle this time. Actually, now that I think about it, Ash's previous 2 battles against Jasmine and Chuck were like that as well. Anyways, once Sheila put on her referee uniform, the battle could now begin for real this time, as Price sent out his Dugong first, and Ash sent out his Cyndaquil first, obviously thinking he could make light work of the Dugong due to Cyndaquil's fire type. Price just laughed, stating that that was very predictable of Ash, and he revealed his strategy with his Dugong, which was to have it dive into the water. So, when Cyndaquil tried to hit Dugong with a flamethrower, Dugong merely dived to the bottom of the pool to dodge it. Cyndaquil was caught off guard by this, allowing Dugong to then come out of the pool and retaliate with an Ice Beam. Cyndaquil tries to dodge this, but it trips on the ice, and gets frozen from the Ice Beam as a result. With Cyndaquil frozen and unable to attack, Price has his Dugong use Aurora Beam. However, Ash has Cyndaquil to channel its nervousness from the attack, which allows it to ignite the flame on its back, which thaws out the ice, allowing Cyndaquil to dodge the attack before it hit, because the ice was completely thawed out almost instantly. Price was surprised by this out-of-the-box strategy, leading Ash to taunt that the battle was just getting started. Price, a little more cautious, then ordered Dugong to go for another powerful Aurora Beam. However, Cyndaquil managed to dodge this as well, and go for another flamethrower. Just like Cyndaquil's previous flamethrower attempt though, Dugong simply dodged by diving back underwater again. Ash knew by this point that if he was just going to keep going for basic flamethrowers, then Dugong would simply just dodge them, so he knew that he had to go for another out-of-the-box strategy that Price wouldn't expect, nor would Dugong. So, he did something that Misty and Brock definitely didn't expect either, which was to tell Cyndaquil to dive underwater after thinking of multiple strategies, coming to the conclusion that this would be the best one. So, Cyndaquil obliges as it uses a quick attack to dive into the water, leading Price to believe that Ash was either being extremely foolish or was just willingly giving up on the battle at this point. So, Price orders his Dugong to use a headbutt to finish off the battle, but Cyndaquil just waits for the headbutt to arrive, and right as Dugong gets close enough, Cyndaquil goes for a Swift, catching the Dugong massively off guard, as the Swift knocks Dugong out of the water. With Dugong now out of the water, unable to protect itself from fire attacks, Cyndaquil finally jumped out of the water itself and aimed a flamethrower straight at Dugong, knocking it out as he made it collide with an ice pillar. As Sheila declares that Ash and Cyndaquil had won the first round, Price calls back his Dugong, seeing how Ash and Cyndaquil did so well against it since they were able to come up with out-of-the-box strategies due to their bond. Once Price recalled his Dugong, he then sent out his best friend, Piloswine, as his last Pokemon. This was obvious to Ash, as Price had stated yesterday that he wanted to make sure his Piloswine was recovered, so he simply told Cyndaquil to keep its guard up. Meanwhile, back inside Price's icy park area, Team Rocket were just about to capture several of the ice Pokemon inside of a net. However, when James reminds Jessie and Meowth of their goal to capture these Pokemon for money, Jessie butts in and stated that she had a better idea to earn some money as opposed to just selling the Mons, stating that they could capture some of them for themselves, particularly the ones that they liked the most. James and Meowth were confused by this, as, they just wanted to make some money and they didn't see how capturing the ones that they liked for themselves was going to get them any money, leading Jessie to explain that if all the ice Pokemon could make ice on the spot, then they could start a new snow cone and ice cream business. James and Meowth are excited by this, especially when Jessie mentions that the ice cream business could even go entirely global, and as a result, they could get so much money that they could finally pay off all their dues to Delibird, which could in turn make Giovanni so happy that he would actually give them a promotion after all. As James, Jessie, and Meowth all fantasize about having a global ice cream business, Meowth is the first one to drop out of his fantasies, as he realizes that if they were going to come true, they actually needed to capture the ice Pokemon. So he prepares a net to capture some of them, and goes over there. However, he slips on the ice, which annoys a sleeping seal. Meowth tries to quickly net the seal, but he fails, and this just makes Seal more angry as it calls out to the rest of the ice Pokemon are in the area, and then they all go and try and surround Meowth, leading Meowth to try and apologize to the seal, trying to reason that he loved Seal because he had a friend that looked like one, referring to Jessie. Jessie was shocked by this, as she didn't think that she looked like a seal. But Meowth and James clarified that Jessie only looked like this seal, especially in the morning, meaning that Jessie looked like an angry seal. Jessie annoyedly counters that she didn't get cranky in the morning, but James rebutted that she did, especially if she didn't have her cup of coffee in the morning, and this pissed Jessie off even more, because James implied that she was always angry because she never had coffee because they were broke as fuck. To make Jessie even more pissed off, Wobbuffet then forcibly pops out of its Pokeball, and all the other Pokemon that Seal called in the area had arrived and begun surrounding Team Rocket, and they were all just as angry as the Seal was at someone trying to disturb their peace, so they proceeded to fire an Ice Beam at Team Rocket as they couldn't escape. So they were frozen into a block of ice as a result. Meanwhile, back at the battle between Ash and Price, it was now Cyndaquil versus Piloswine. Although Brock still warned Ash to be careful of Piloswine's ground type, he thought that this battle could be easier than the one against Dugong, since just like Cyndaquil, since Piloswine was a ground type, it wouldn't like to go in the water. Knowing that Piloswine wouldn't go in the water, Cyndaquil goes for Flamethrower, but the Flamethrower is then stopped in its tracks by Piloswine using Blizzard. Not only does the Blizzard destroy the Flamethrower though, it obviously causes Cyndaquil to barely be able to see anything, along with Brock, Misty, and Ash for that matter, as they were basically almost being blown away by the Blizzard. Since Ash or Cyndaquil couldn't see anything, Piloswine took the opportunity to go in for a takedown, knocking Cyndaquil into one of the ice rocks, knocking it out in one hit, before Ash could do anything, aside from call it back to its Pokeball, as Sheila declared that it was now 1 win for Ash and 1 win for Price, so the next battle would decide the match. Brock then questioned how Piloswine was able to even make it over to Cyndaquil, because since Piloswine and Cyndaquil were on opposite sides of the stadium, Piloswine would have had to cross the pool to get to it, and it clearly hadn't. It was then that Brock realized that the Blizzard attack must have froze over the pool, so now the field was entirely ice. Ash then decided to send out Pikachu as his second Pokemon, since he viewed Pikachu as his strongest Pokemon, and he was certainly in a last resort situation now. Price then told his Piloswine to not go easy on Pikachu, even though Pikachu saved his life, and ordered it to use a Fury attack. However, Pikachu dodged with agility, and then tried to follow up with a Thunderbolt, but there was too much ice on the field, so Pikachu slipped. Pikachu then got back up, and knowing that it wouldn't have time to go for a Thunderbolt, it tried to simply run away from the Fury attack, but it slipped again, allowing Piloswine to hit it with a Fury attack, although Pikachu was able to dodge the Fury attack by using the momentum from its slip. However, Pikachu slipped again when it dodged, therefore landing into one of the ice pillars. Seeing Pikachu slip, this gave Piloswine the opportunity to use another Blizzard, but Pikachu countered the Blizzard with a Thunderbolt, although the Thunderbolt didn't do much else aside from destroy the Blizzard. To make matters worse, Piloswine just followed up with even more Blizzards, blowing Pikachu back, in turn making Pikachu slip on the ice even more, bouncing off of several ice rocks as it struggled to stay on its feet. Ash panicked, as it seemed there was no way for Pikachu to escape the Blizzards, but then he came up with an idea to use the Blizzards to his advantage, as he saw that they were creating even more ice pillars on the battlefield, which he planned to have Pikachu bounce off of in order to dodge the Blizzard attacks. He did this by ordering Pikachu to use agility, which it did right as Piloswine fired yet another Blizzard, but solely focused on Pikachu, not the rest of the arena. Price comments that Ash shouldn't be going for something like agility on an already icy field that was now about to just get even more icy with the Blizzards, as that would just cause Pikachu to slip more. But unbeknownst to Price, this was all part of Ash's plan, as he had Pikachu slip underneath Piloswine. Price and Piloswine were both confused by this, so Price just went with his normal-ass strategy of using more Blizzards, but these Blizzards only hit all of the ice pillars, making the ice pillars even more icy, as Pikachu used the ice pillars to bounce off of each one of them to dodge the Blizzards. Seeing how none of the individual Blizzards were working to get Pikachu, Price simply ordered his Piloswine to use Blizzard on the entire battlefield so that Pikachu would have to get caught up. This led Pikachu to slide underneath Piloswine again, the one safe spot that was safe from the Blizzard, and while he was underneath him, Pikachu finally got off a Thunderbolt, shocking Piloswine. Piloswine was immensely damaged from this huge attack that it even sent Pikachu flying away. So Pryce ordered Piloswine to use Rest to recover from all the damage it has taken. So Ash told Pikachu to use Quick Attack on it before it could heal, but Pikachu was too late, meaning that Piloswine was fully recovered now. The fully healed Piloswine then used both Fury Attack and Takedown, and these two attacks combined were enough to knock Pikachu down to the ground, leading Pryce to tell Ash to forfeit, explaining that Ash was brave for taking on his Piloswine, which with such a unique strategy, but a wise trainer knew when to accept defeat when their Pokemon was down. However, Ash wasn't the only one who wanted to continue battling. Pikachu was determined to win as well, so with that, the battle continued, with Pikachu using Quick Attack, and Piloswine trying to counter with Fury Attack. The Quick Attack proved to be stronger, as Pikachu hit Piloswine directly on the nose and pushed it back on the ice. With Piloswine going back, Pikachu took the opportunity to use a Thunderbolt, but since Piloswine was still at pretty much max health, this Thunderbolt didn't really do much to it. Piloswine then went in for a takedown, leading Pikachu to dodge it by jumping on his face and using a Thunderbolt more close up, hoping that this would do actual damage, and thankfully, it did. Not only did the Thunderbolt damage Piloswine though, but it also caused Piloswine to fall into the pool, as the pool had now been re-uncovered, since the Thunderbolt also happened to shatter the ice over it. Due to Piloswine being in the water and being wet as a result, Pikachu's next Thunderbolt was able to conduct better and do even more damage to Piloswine than before. Much to Ash and the gang's shock though, Piloswine was so determined that it managed to jump out of the water and shake off the Thunderbolt despite the amount of damage it had caused it. Pikachu was so caught off guard by this that it wasn't able to dodge when Piloswine used Fury Attack. Ash then told Pikachu to use Thunderbolt, but Pikachu was so weak that the Thunderbolt damaged it as well, although Piloswine was pretty damaged at least. Despite Pikachu's exhaustion though, it managed to get back up, wanting to continue to fight Piloswine. However, Pryce saw that Piloswine was really pushing itself too hard, seemingly just to prove itself to him some more, so he decided to throw in the towel and forfeit the match, much to Ash and the gang's surprise. And Ash's displeasure, as Sheila called that Ash had won because of a forfeit, with Ash claiming that that didn't count as a genuine win, and he wanted to win genuinely against the Piloswine. Pryce stops Ash's complaining though, when he explains that he simply forfeited because he didn't want Piloswine to get hurt since it had just recovered from being frozen. And he also didn't want Piloswine to push itself too much, just to try and prove that it was independent, like it had tried to do with the Burnheel herds. Ash was still adamant about getting a genuine win though, so Brock and Misty stepped in and told Ash that there were times when Ash just had to accept this outcome, explaining that Piloswine had showed its full power and Pikachu had showed its full power, and that was really all that mattered, so Ash should essentially have no guilt in taking this badge. Pryce agreed with Brock and Misty as he pulled out the Glacier Badge and told Ash that even though he did win by forfeit, he still thought that Ash definitely deserved this badge, since he saw how strong Ash was, due to his strategies and attacks that he was able to do thanks to the bond with his Pokemon. Essentially, Pryce had the same opinion as Brock and Misty, that Ash had showed his full strength and that he was fully capable of beating Pryce, and Pryce just wanted to essentially just give Ash the badge without having to worry about an actual defeat. So, with that in mind, Ash decided to gladly take the Glacier Badge, believing that he had technically won it fair and square anyways. Ash and Pryce then shake hands as Pryce thanks Ash for teaching him, once again, that friendship with Pokemon was important, and finally admits that Ash was right to try and befriend that Gyarados. As Ash and the gang wave goodbye to Pryce, his Piloswine, and Sheila, Brock tells Ash, by looking at his guidebook, that the destination of the 8th and final Johto Gym Badge was in Blackthorn City. So, that was Ash and the gang's next destination. Blackthorn City, here they come. The episode then ends with one last scene from Team Rocket. While Ash was very happy on his way to his final gym badge, Team Rocket were far from happy, as they were still trapped in ice in Pryce's ice park, even as all of the ice Pokemon had went to sleep for the night. And Team Rocket were all arguing with each other as well, with Jesse and James blaming Meowth for the entire situation, because technically it was his fault. But Meowth retorted that it was Jesse's idea to start the snow cone business, which got him all hyped up in the first place. Yeah, let's just say that they argued like this for fucking hours on end. I'm not going to bore you with the entire details.